They told him not to come. They told him, "You've done enough damage, Harris." But when the single-dad veteran stood at the back of that crowded church, rain dripping off his coat, his trembling hand clutching a folded letter, everyone turned away like he didn't belong there. Until the doors opened. And a 4-star general in full-dress uniform walked in, looked right at him, and said, "Let him through. That man saved my life." Jack Harris had spent years trying to forget Afghanistan. The faces, the sounds, the screams, those never left. But what haunted him most was the memory of a young soldier named Evan Turner. A kid barely 21, always smiling, always calling Jack "Pops." Evan had died in an explosion during a convoy mission, one Jack blamed himself for. He'd been the squad leader that day. One bad call, and Evan never made it home. Years later, when Jack heard Evan's funeral was being held in their hometown, he came quietly, just to pay respects. He wasn't family. He wasn't invited. But he needed closure. When he stepped inside the church, whispers spread like wildfire. "That's him. Why's he here? He shouldn't show his face." Evan's mother, heartbroken, frail, dressed in black, glared at him through tears. "Leave," she said softly. "Please, just leave." Jack's throat tightened. "Ma'am. I just wanted to say goodbye." But the ushers moved closer. Someone muttered, "Not today, soldier." He stood frozen, humiliated, crushed. Then, just as he turned to go, the heavy doors burst open, every head turned as a tall, gray-haired man walked in wearing a uniform loaded with ribbons. A 4-star general. The kind you only saw on TV. He paused at the door, scanning the room, then locked eyes on Jack. In a low, commanding voice, he said, "Why is this man standing alone?" No one spoke. The general walked straight toward Jack. The crowd parted. And when he reached him, he extended his hand. "Sergeant Harris," he said, voice breaking just slightly. "It's been a long time." Jack looked confused. "Sir, I don't think we've met." "Oh, we have," the general replied. "Kandahar, 2010. You pulled me out of a burning Humvee. You saved my life." A stunned silence filled the church. The general turned to Evan's grieving mother. "Ma'am, I know your pain. But this man standing before you isn't the reason your son died. He's the reason I, and dozens of others, came home to our families." Tears welled in her eyes. Jack tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "Ma'am, your boy, he was brave. He saved me that day. He pushed me out of the blast zone. I tried to go back for him, but—" The general placed a firm hand on Jack's shoulder. "He told me about you, Harris. Said you reminded him of his dad. Said if anything ever happened, he hoped someone like you would be there." The mother's face softened. She stepped forward, trembling, and said, "You were with him at the end?" Jack nodded. He wasn't alone. For a long, heavy moment, no one spoke. Then she whispered, "Then you belong here." Jack finally approached the casket. His boots echoed softly across the floor. He placed a small photograph on top, Evan and their squad, smiling in the desert sun. He whispered, "Rest easy, kid." As he saluted, the general stood beside him and did the same. One by one, soldiers in attendance followed suit, until the entire church stood in silent respect. The rain outside had stopped. And for the first time in years, Jack felt peace wash over him. Later, as everyone left, the general caught Jack at the door. "You have a son, don't you?" Jack nodded. "Yeah. He's 12 now." The general smiled faintly. "Then you keep living for him. You've carried enough ghosts." Jack looked down, then back at the flag-draped casket. "I think maybe they carried me, sir." The general nodded. They still do. As Jack walked into the sunlight, he took out his phone and texted his boy. "Proud of you, son. Be home soon." And for the first time in a long while, he meant it.